The restaurant was quiet except for the faint sound of jazz echoing through its dimly lit hall. The waiter stood near the counter, glancing every few minutes at the man sitting by the window. He'd been there for nearly an hour, untouched coffee in front of him, a small bouquet of tulips resting beside his plate. His name was Ryan Carter, a 34-year-old architect whose life had slowly turned into an echo of waiting. Waiting for calls that never came, promises that faded like mist. And tonight, waiting for a woman who said she would come. Outside, the city of Seattle glowed under soft rain, the lights blurring against the wet glass. Inside, Ryan kept his posture straight, pretending not to notice the sympathetic looks from passing waiters. His phone screen was dark. The clock hit 8:47 p.m. She was now an hour and a half late. But still, he waited. Not because he thought she'd arrive, but because walking away meant accepting what he'd feared most, that maybe love wasn't coming back to him at all. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love that still finds its way even when it's too late, take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Because what happens next will remind you that sometimes hope walks in wearing tiny shoes. Ryan sighed, glancing once more toward the entrance before lowering his eyes. His fingers played with the corner of a napkin, his thoughts drifting back to the last text she sent 2 days ago. Maybe meeting in person will help us both understand. It was from Lauren, his ex-fiancée. They hadn't seen each other in almost 5 years, not since the accident that tore their lives apart. It was a rainy night, not unlike this one, when Lauren lost control of the car while driving back from Ryan's birthday dinner. She survived, but their unborn child didn't. The tragedy broke something between them, something words couldn't fix. She blamed herself. He blamed fate. And in that silence, love slipped away. So when she reached out after years of no contact, asking to meet, Ryan's heart had stirred with something it hadn't felt in a long time. A fragile, trembling hope. Maybe she had healed. Maybe they both had. But now, 2 hours in, the tulips were wilting, and the seat across from him was still empty. He rubbed his temples, trying to ignore the ache that spread from his chest to his throat. He thought about paying the bill and leaving, but his legs wouldn't move. He stayed, not out of faith, but out of habit. Because walking away was harder than pretending. Just then, the soft chime of the restaurant door rang. He didn't look up immediately, afraid of disappointment, but then small footsteps echoed, light, hesitant, like those of a child. Ryan looked up and froze. A little girl stood by his table, no older than 5 or 6, with curly blonde hair tied in 2 uneven pigtails and a pink raincoat slightly too big for her. She held a small paper napkin folded into the shape of a heart. Her eyes, light green, curious and full of warmth, stared up at him. "Are you Ryan?" she asked softly. He blinked, caught off guard. "Yes," he said after a pause. The little girl nodded seriously, clutching the heart tighter. "Mommy's just wiping her tears. She said to tell you she's sorry she's late." The world stopped. For a moment, Ryan couldn't breathe. The air around him seemed to disappear, replaced by a flood of memories. Lauren's laughter, her tears, the promises they once made. He looked toward the door, and through the rain-streaked glass, he saw her. Lauren stood a few steps away, her hands trembling as she wiped her cheeks with a tissue. Her auburn hair, once always styled perfectly, now fell loosely over her shoulders. She looked older, not just in years, but in sorrow. The kind of sorrow that life carves into a person when they've carried too much pain alone. Ryan stood up slowly. For a second, they just looked at each other. Two people who once shared everything, now strangers, bound by memories. Then Lauren took a small step forward, her eyes shining with tears that refused to fall. "Hi," she whispered when she reached him. Ryan nodded, his voice barely a whisper. "Hi." The little girl, Ella, smiled proudly between them. "Mommy said you liked flowers. I made you this." She placed the napkin heart on the table and climbed onto the seat beside her mother. Lauren took a shaky breath. "I didn't know how else to face you," she said quietly, her gaze shifting between him and the table. "So I brought her. She's my daughter." Ryan looked at the little girl again, confusion flickering in his eyes. Lauren noticed and added quickly, "No, she's not. She's not ours. I adopted her last year." The words hit him gently like raindrops. He nodded, trying to process the moment. Lauren reached for her cup of water, her fingers trembling. "I was terrified you wouldn't come," she said softly, "but then I saw you sitting there, and I just froze. It's been years, Ryan. Years since I looked you in the eyes." Ryan swallowed hard, his throat tight. "You could have called," he said after a pause. "I tried," she whispered, "so many times. But I didn't know what to say. How do you talk to someone you destroyed?" Her voice cracked, and before she could stop herself, tears spilled down her cheeks. Little Ella reached over, touching her mother's face gently. "Don't cry, Mommy." "You said it's okay to be brave." Ryan's heart clenched. That small gesture, that innocent comfort, felt like a whisper from the past, a reminder that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting, but about freeing yourself from the weight of what can't be undone. The rest of the evening passed quietly. They talked, hesitantly at first, then more freely. Lauren told him about how she'd left Seattle for a while, moved to Portland, worked as a counselor helping women recover from trauma. "It helped me heal," she said. "Helping others made me realize I wasn't broken, just lost." And Ella, bright, curious Ella, told Ryan about her love for drawing rainbows and how she wanted to be a happiness doctor when she grew up. Ryan found himself smiling, really smiling, for the first time in what felt like years. When the check arrived, Lauren reached for her purse, but Ryan shook his head. "Let me," he said quietly. "It's been a long time since I did something nice for you." She hesitated, then nodded with a faint smile. As they stepped outside, the rain had stopped. The air smelled of wet earth and hope. Ella skipped ahead, jumping over small puddles while humming a tune. Lauren looked at Ryan, her voice trembling. "I didn't come tonight to ask for anything. I needed to see that you were okay, that you didn't hate me." Ryan looked at her for a long moment before answering. "I never hated you, Lauren. I hated that we lost something we never got to hold. But hate? No," her eyes glistened again. "I used to visit his grave every year," she whispered, "but I couldn't face it alone anymore. So last year I brought Ella. She sat beside me and said, 'It's okay, Mommy. Maybe he's your angel now.' And that's when I knew I was ready to find you." Ryan's breath caught. For years he had avoided that same cemetery, unable to face the stone with their unborn son's name. Now hearing those words from her, something inside him broke, but softly like ice melting. He reached out, gently brushing away a tear from her cheek. "Maybe she's right," he said. "Maybe he's been waiting for us to stop blaming ourselves." They stood there in silence, the city lights reflecting off the wet pavement around them. For the first time in years, it didn't hurt to look at her. It just felt right. Then Ella ran back to them, holding 2 small dandelions she'd picked from the edge of the sidewalk. "One for Mommy, one for Ryan," she said proudly. "Make a wish." Lauren smiled. "What did you wish for?" Ella giggled. "A big dinner with both of you, and pancakes." Ryan laughed, the sound echoing softly in the night. Lauren looked at him, her expression tender. "You don't have to." "I want to," he interrupted gently. "Maybe it's time I stopped eating alone." And so, they did. The 3 of them walked down the street to a small diner that stayed open late. They ordered pancakes, hot chocolate, and coffee. Ella talked endlessly about her favorite cartoons while Ryan and Lauren listened, occasionally sharing glances that said everything words couldn't. When it was time to leave, Ella had fallen asleep against her mother's shoulder. Lauren stood by her car, hesitating. "Ryan, I don't know what this means or where it goes from here," she said softly. "But tonight, I'm grateful." Ryan nodded. "Me too." As she placed the sleeping child in the car seat, Ryan caught a glimpse of the small drawing taped to the dashboard. 3 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. One was labeled Mommy, one me, and one unnamed. Lauren noticed his gaze. "She drew that last week," she said quietly. "She said she had a dream about a kind man sitting alone in the rain. I didn't know what to make of it until tonight. Ryan looked at her, emotion tightening his chest. Maybe she saw something we couldn't. Lauren smiled faintly, eyes glistening. Maybe. As they drove away, Ryan stood on the sidewalk, the bouquet of tulips still in his hand. The rain began to fall again. Light, cleansing, almost forgiving. He tilted his head up, letting it wash over him. For years he had waited. For closure. For peace. For something to fill the silence in his heart. He didn't know if this was love reborn or just the beginning of healing. But for the first time, he wasn't afraid to find out. He looked down at the small napkin heart Ella had made, now damp from the rain. It was wrinkled but still holding its shape. Fragile, imperfect, yet beautifully whole. He smiled. Maybe love was like that too. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe.